Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Phoenix Club.
Yay.
Hello and welcome to season 2 of the Phoenix Pod.
Oh, we calling it this? Are we still calling it the Phoenix Pod?
Yeah, it's just like the thingy name for it.
Okay. Yeah, this would normally be the time where I do my Phoenix Pod intro, but I don't know. It doesn't seem right doing it for sort of like the season that we're going to be covering. I think I'll just sort of keep that to sort of just maybe for when we do Phoenix Nights, I reckon, because I don't want it to wear out its welcome.
No, that's absolutely fine. So, I'm of course your host once again, AXC, joined by Man from the RAD podcast, and of course the singer of, well, the introductionist, the compare.
Yeah.
To season 1 of the Phoenix Pod is Lewis Ogden.
Hello. Yes, it's just a 2-man power trip combination tonight rather than the usual 3MB that we usually have, because all stupid sexy Flinders has come down with a bit of a bug, so he wasn't well enough to record tonight.
He did tell me though. He told me in between whilst drying his hands at the hand dryer, and all he finished with was covered in piss. But I'm hoping he got the all clear in there. But you never know.
Well, he'll know when
He'll
know when he'll get the results in the gold envelope. You know, specifically through Booper.
On talent track night. Oh dear. So yes, we are here for season 2, but rather than looking at season 2 of the Phoenix Nights, we are taking a trip back to 1998 for the pilot of a show which is pretty much all known as That Peter Kay Thing. Actually titled so because they were trying to think of a name for it, and his mates just said, well, whatever you call it, people would call it That Peter Kay Thing. So, hence the name.
Little bit of a trivia here. The original broadcast of this pilot episode, it came out a day before my 5th birthday.
Ah. Showing your age now, Lewis, or lack of.
Oh, I know. Well, compared to other people that we have in our little podcast community, yes.
Well, you are the baby of the group, as we say.
Mm-hmm. I am.
So for those unaware, That Peter Kay Thing was a series of 6 spoof documentaries in the style of airline cruise ship, was it called? Well, the cruise for Jay McDonald. And
I was thinking it was quite like what was that? What was that? That airport program? Was it airline?
Airline, yeah, that's the one.
Was it airline? Because I kept thinking it was Come Fly With Me, but that's a different show entirely.
Oh, it would be a completely different show if it was.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I watched this episode with the audio commentary, and Peter says it himself, like he said, he wanted it to be in the style of like Victoria Wood when she used to do different characters and stuff. But then when he pitched the idea, he's like, I want it to be like airline, like the cruise and all that sort of thing. So it's a sort of pseudo documentary almost, in his style, a spoof. So the original series aired,
and sort of what The Office became.
Yeah, pretty much.
In a way. So
the original series aired in 2000, shown on Channel 4. This was done in 1998. It aired in the 6th of November?
9th.
9th of November, even, sorry, yeah. As part of a series called Comedy Lab on Channel 4, which was like showcased new ideas. That's why like, Jimmy Carr got his first appearance on TV, and it was also where they piloted Trigger Happy and Phone Jacker, amongst others.
Okay.
So, And of course, the series was written by Peter Kay, Dave Spikey, even Neil Fitzmaurice and Gareth Hughes. It was directed by Andrew Gilman. The main series itself was narrated by Andrew Sachs, but Peter Kay directed the pilot episode, which is The Services, which we're going to look at today.
Yeah, back when both Peter Kay and Paddy-mcguinness, who does make a very brief cameo in this episode, when they were wee nippers of the age of 25. So, yeah, makes you feel incredibly old. Considering that both of them are 46 at the moment, it gives you an indicator of how long it's been.
Oh, it's mad, considering Paddy's haircut in this as well.
Mm.
It's like a reject from Take That or something like Boyzone or whatever. Like.
I've just had a thought. It's sort of... I've just had a thought. The hair he's sporting here, I kept thinking, is he wearing a wig? This must have been weird when he was going down there. You going bald face.
It must have come on quick because what was Phoenix Nights a year? I think they filmed Phoenix Nights like 2 years later. So
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you're going bald? No. Funnily enough, as well, from other trivia, it nearly ended up being set in a supermarket. This episode. He said Peter Kay says in the commentary, they were looking at a service station, but Channel 4 was like, "Can you film it in London?" And they asked around. They went apparently around every service station asking, because they're all like franchise or whatever. They're run by like private companies. They all said no. And apparently, in all of the UK, there's only 2 independently run service stations, and one of the ones that is the one that he lives right near, which they filmed at near Bolton.
Which is First, I think, isn't it? It's the brand. Because I swear that's the that's sort of like the strip logo that's at the top of the road sign saying that there's services ahead.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah.
So, I've been past it and been in it, so God knows how many times. So, I'm gonna have to go there one day and just stand there outside the thing, just like, look, here's where they filmed that Peter Kay thing.
Just go to set up a little store. Excuse me, sir. Are you interested in ARC?
Oh God.
You call it AXC. There you go. You interested in AXC roadside services?
Please God, no. not after some of the stuff I heard coming out of his mouth. Anyway, we'll get to him shortly. So we open the episode with a female character driving towards the services, later revealed to be General Manager Pearl Hardman. Pretty much discussing home is where the heart is, and my heart is in the services.
Should mention that like a lot of these characters, given that it is the pilot, are played by Peter Kay. So
oh yeah, I meant to count, but I pretty much forgot. But there's at least like 5 or 6 characters that he plays in this one episode.
I mean, I can think you got the general manager, you've got the bloke from Chorley FM, you've got the Irish lad who is the cleaner,
Matthew.
You've got Alan, who is the bloke outside doing this sort of like the breakdown recovery ad, much like AA, RAC may do. And then there was, what's his name? Coach driver.
Utah.
Better known as Craig.
Well, yeah. Utah's Wild West name. Real name's Craig. But they reveal on the commentary he's actually called Johnny Utah.
Okay, right. So yeah, I think it's he plays 5 characters overall in this one pilot. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else that I might have missed out.
Well, I thought he plays another character, but it's not. It's actually someone else. But I'll cover that when we come to it. So Pearl pulls into the services. As she pulls in, she's driving past the actual building. She says the windows need to wipe down. I'll tell young Matthew. And then she finishes with a Potterism. Filthy. But also with these been almost like spoof documentaries, there's sort of like you've got the narration as well, rather than just the sort of seeing it as it goes on or whatever. Like with like Phoenix Nights, where I think this pretty much the entire series has the narration, but this episode was done by Peter Kay himself because it was 1998, and he says we couldn't afford. He said it was filmed on no budget, so we couldn't really afford to get anyone else to do it.
I noticed with sort of like the intro, one, it was very saxophone heavy, and two, it was sort of like very, very early Top Gear / Clarkson car years sort of style that it was done. I was just sort of like, yeah, that is. You can tell it's a show made in the 90s.
Well, I said pretty much described it. He's just like even I think McGinnis like, oh yeah. Spent some money on them graphics there, didn't you? He's like, yeah, none. So, yeah, the narrator reveals that Pearl has been the GM at the services for the past 4 years. And as she enters, we see a lad called Brian with a floor buffer. And as she walks past, she said, "You missed a bit, Brian." And he gives that look of like, I know. And then we have more narration of it. It's just another day, but not for local DJ Paul Leroy of Chorley FM. Completely Pat Sharp mullet.
Our second piece of K played character.
You should have been like, take a shot every time you see a Peter Kay character in this series and just see how many we can get through.
Freaking hellfire.
So, a strange tidbit, Chorley FM was actually created for the show.
Oh, okay.
So...
Oh. And I'm assuming that it like actually became a proper like local radio station.
It became a proper radio station in 2006. A real Chorley FM began, which apparently caused a bit of, I don't know if it was conflict or it was. So there was problems, I believe, either way from what I've read into it.
Right. Okay.
But like Peter Kay says in it, he said, "Oh, this." Just like came up with the name like Chorley FM because it sounds naff. So, but yeah, Paul Leroy is there trying to get attention for the station so they can get an FM license, even though they're already called Chorley FM.
But he's basically set up his DJ decks, pretty much sort of like DJ decks that you would normally see at sort of like your bog standard wedding reception, and. The thing is, like, I don't know whether he's set himself up or they've specifically marked this area of the car park, but it's like right at the back of the car park.
There is is it like it's at the arse end of the car park, so he's a good probably like half a mile away, near enough from the actual entrance, even though you'd think he'd be right at the front, but he's not. Which it stems back to something that actually happened that Peter saw. He saw this happen. The guy was apparently really bitter about it, so he's like, "Oh, it's really funny. I'm going to put it in my show." But he does actually. He goes into complaint. Gets some sort of bullshit excuse as to why he can't be nearer, which we'll cover. So we end up in the office. It's revealed to be 8 o'clock in the morning, and the team are gathered for the morning meeting. Pearl informed the staff that Channel 4 are in from London doing the documentary, seeing all that, how we work and all that sort of thing. And then we have Alison, which is Sean Gibson of Car Share fame, and Phoenix Nights' Young Mary.
Yeah,
which I didn't know.
Well, I upon Paul's request, I went and I binge watched all of Car Share, and I remember just sort of like. While I was watching it, just sort of like focusing on the actress who played Kaylee, and it was literally a case of, I've seen her before, but where do I know her from? And then it was literally a case of like looking it up. It was like, bloody hell, she was young Mary in Phoenix Nights. It's like, how was that not sort of clocked?
Yeah,
it's quite interesting that like as far back as sort of like late 1998, she's been working for this long in some context with Peter Kay.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very interesting.
I didn't even realise she was young Mary till I looked on IMDb today, to be fair. So, and I think she also popped up later on in one of the other that Peter Kay thing episodes, but that's for another time. So yeah, Alison's caught chewing. Which is
Pearl like literally like a school teacher, just sort of like in the bin. Put it in bin.
She also says, "Oh, it's like nails on the chalkboard." That. Do you not remember our conversation we had yesterday or something? And then so she does that, and then she's for some randomly she's like, "It's my day off." It's like, what's that got to do with you chewing? But then Pearl sort of reminds her, she's like, "You're in because you're a team player, and also Adina's phoned in sick with a water infection." So we cut former RAC employee Alan McClarty, who's setting up his own recovery service, the ARC. But as I noticed, the first line that he says something like, "Oh, do you want one of these?" There's that random woman walking past, and I was like, "I'm sure that's Max."
Yeah, that's what I initially thought it was at first, but then, as like Alan gets more dialogue, you realise that it seems to be sort of like if Max were sort of like, well, I don't know what accent is he going for, sort of like a Scottish accent, or
I thought it was more Irish because the problem with Peter Kay is he always tries to, if he tries to do like anything Scottish or anything like that, he always comes out Irish.
Well, I know sort of like I know what Peter Kay's Irish sounds like because you get that with a different character later on in the episode, and also like when he's doing his stand-up, because he's like, I swear his mum's Irish or she's got like an Irish accent, because that's literally all he does in his stand-up, and he'll always make he'll always make the joke of whenever he's starting, he's sort of like, "Why is she Irish?" But then he just carries on.
He's I think he was raised Irish Catholic. It sort of just factored in, but he's like, as he always says, he's like, he puts an Irish accent when he's doing an impression of him. He's like, "You're not even Irish." Yeah, his accent's like hard to place with this one because he goes a bit Max and he goes a bit sort of just normal Peter with a deep voice, but then he's trying to do this accent but with a deep voice as well at the same time. So you get it's a bit lost in translation almost sort of thing.
It's a bit jarring at times, really. Yeah.
But then he's also stood there. It's like another very early Peter Kay joke. "Oh, it's like fine rain, soaks you right through."
Yeah.
I was with the RAC for 14 years. So we're back in the office. We just catch the end of some health and safety about a fuse and might get too hot, which finishes with put a blanket over it. So then Pearl asks any questions, and Terry, aka Paddy-mcguinness, asks, "We getting Simon off for this?"
He just makes reference to like the cameras being there for his reason for asking for time and a half.
But then he mentions something about equity rights, isn't there? So then we cut back to Paul Leroy. He's advertising. This one got me. He's like, "Oh, we've got 3 prizes up for grabs. You can win a foot spa, a health spa, or a £20 voucher from your local spa." If you're unaware, Spa was a local shop, like corner shop or like convenience shop in the UK for us.
Do you know what? That didn't even click to me until you just said like local Spa, and I was like, I get it. I get it now.
This is whenever I listened to it, I was like, local Spa. So I wound it back, watched it again. I was like, he definitely means like the corner shop Spa because it's like 1998. So. But then, so he starts playing My Favourite Wasted Time by Owen Paul. He starts doing sort of like some random little dad dancing. And then as we view him behind from a distance, Terry appears close up with a fag in his mouth and asks, "Who's that dick?"
Yeah.
Oh dear. So we see a cameraman enter the toilets and he finds student Matthew Kelly mopping. He's in the final year of his drama degree or performing arts degree or something. Cameraman slips and Matthew Kelly starts laughing, saying, "Hey, don't you be suing me."
I've just realised Matthew Kelly.
I'm guessing where the name evidently came from, but he said it's not. He says at one point, "I didn't base the character on Stars in Your Eyes, Matthew Kelly." So,
well, no, but he's probably just nicked the name from it. I mean, you could say the same thing about the Keith Lard character.
Yeah, true.
To be honest.
So yeah, Matthew's frustrated with the job, and as he pokes his head into one toilet, and he's like, "Look at that! Actually, don't go in there! Don't go in there! Why can't people flush, filthy bastards? It smells like a rotten Alsatian." So then we cut to Pearl, who's in her office on the phone discussing the filming. Yeah, Channel 4's here. Yeah, big time. Check me out on the cover of Cosmo.
Wasn't it the? Doesn't she also mention the fact of they could possibly end up on the cover of Radio Times?
That's the one. Yeah, it's these Radio Times, and she's like, "Yeah, I might get a talk show. Yeah, Kilroy and all that sort of thing." But then she sees the camera's watching, and she just sort of slowly closes the door. So then we cut to Alison, who's chopping and prepping whilst having a moan that Adina never does it, and is thrown in with a water infection, yet without the night before in a hen do, apparently. So
convenient.
And she was also ill the week before, but she was spotted out in a nightclub doing the Macarena. But she had phoned up with a bad leg or something and walked in with a sick note.
Okay. Stinking of tea, Maria.
But Alison's like, "Oh, she better just laminate that sick note." So we're back in the toilets with Matthew discussing how he still hates the job. And then he said, "Oh, I'm ratty. I've been up all night learning lines. I'm tired." Which is literally just a bit of a throwaway point to put Paul Leroy in the car park by himself playing "I Think They're Alone Now."
Yeah, I was about to say, is this the bit where he's playing that song? Still nobody around.
It's more the fact it's purposely playing from the significant line of "I think we're alone now." There doesn't seem to be anyone around. The car park's completely empty.
Yeah.
So then that's where he's like, "Oh, I've had enough of this," and he goes in to speak to Pearl. Just as the coach pulls up and blocks his stand. So the coach pulls up, as we're told by the driver, who's like, looks like he's come straight from a country and western show.
He's come straight from Wild West night.
Or he's very, very, very much looking forward to it because he was about 2 years off. We're stopping for 10 minutes and 10 minutes only, so don't be getting a meal.
And then he makes the case of just going on deux, trois, quatre, Dece minutes for everyone who's French. Stretch your pantalons.
But he also adds, "And don't bring on any cans of pop, they can roll under the pedals and cause a major road accident." Oh dear. Well, there's an interesting tidbit with this character because Paddy asked him on the commentary. He said, "Oh, it's like you not thought I was like doing more with him?" And he said, "People have asked me that. He said I should do more with Utah and Paul Leroy." He said, but Utah is essentially Mac with long hair.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's just sort of, if you've never watched that Peter Kay thing, but you have seen Phoenix Nights, you just literally think of Max if he was actually part of like Wild West Night and not actually on the doors, and just think of him with sort of like a bit more of an extravagant twirly mustache and sort of like long hair tied up in a ponytail. And that's pretty much like Craig or Utah.
As we
Is his
come to
Wild
find
West
out.
name? Is his Wild West name?
So, well, back with Alan, who seems to be going off the rails a bit, and he's saying that they should hang joy riders and bring back capital punishment. Hang people on the national lottery. When the body drops, that sets the balls rolling. So then he's trying to offer leaflets to people as they enter. One bloke says no, and he stops someone in the coat. Excuse me, sir. It's a woman. Oh, sorry, love. He just turns back around and goes, oh, fuck that up, eh? Then we see Paul Leroy exiting the services, saying, oh, she's giving me some shit about environmental health.
And in the window as Paul Leroy's walking past is would you say that it's someone dressed up as like the Cowardly Lion from the Wizard of Oz? Just sort of sat in the window frame?
Yeah, it's a lion in a bear costume or something. But they're just sort of sat there by like the little Fireman Sam like ride on thing for the kids. Yeah. But he just like casually like takes a drag from a fag. But again, this character was actually meant to have more showtime, but it was Neil Fitzmaurice, I think, who played the lion or the whatever. And there was a bit where he does actually have a bit of dialogue where he's at a payphone talking, and he's had a kid with him, like. And he says a line something like, oh, you better run, you little slag, or something, because I'm coming for you. And the girl runs off, but she runs off too early. And Peter Kay wasn't there to see it being filmed. So when he watched it back, and he was like, no, I can't use that now. It's like her timing was off or whatever. So just interesting little tidbit. So Paul spots the coach blocking his stand and goes back in to complain. But then with the driver... Name's Utah. That's my Wild West name. Real name's Craig.
You should probably make mention that Paul Leroy goes back into the service station to complain, but then the next shot that they cut to is like Craig in the driver's seat. So he could literally just like go. Paul could literally have just gone back and sort of, the coach driver's right there instead of having to go in and complain to Pearl.
Yeah, can you just shift your coach a bit, please? You're blocking my stand, but...
Yeah.
Well, Utah, he says with quotation fingers, it's like, oh, this girl took it out of me this morning. She had 80 gallons for breakfast. But then he mentions, oh, I drive a sister sometimes as well. She's a big girl as well. But Dougie's taking her to do a mystery tour.
I instantly thought of Dougie Hayes when he brought up Dougie. I was sort of like, no, we won't be the same person, but I was just sort of like, yeah, it would have been nice.
Well, it also sort of factors into his stand-up as well, because like when he's on his man in the ward or flat, he's like, hey, Dougie.
Dougie, the warden control flat in Bolton. Everything all right, Mrs. Gray? Everything all right? It's Dougie. Do you want ambulance?
Hey, you got a wasp here, Dougie. Big bugger. So we go back to Matthew. He's got a script and a fag in his hand. He's stood on some bins reciting monologues. As he's reciting, he climbs down off one and you just say, oh, shit. But he wanders over to there's like a bin behind him, like a massive cardboard bin, and he's just stood there casually, like, yeah, how was that? Then it's meant to be a Greek tragedy, but the director wants to update it to 60s Gangland London. And he goes off on something about costumes, and he wants us all in cashmere and something else. He's like, I'll be looking for get duffel coats. So then we're back on the coach. Utah's going up into the coach counting people. And Look, there was a couple sat behind you there. Yeah. Someone with a tray before it, cafe.
And you literally hear like every single passion on board just go, oh god.
Then there's Utah, so he's like, give him an inch.
You give them an inch, they take advantage.
So Alan's trying to stop people discuss the ARC. He'd barely legible at one point, as the guy says to him, he's like, you say that in English? But it's still barely legible. But I'll try to translate it as, can I interest you in some ARC road insurance? The guy says, no, I'm alright, thanks. Alan goes, alright, cheers. And turns to the camera and says, fucking smart ass. Cut back to Utah. He's just sat waiting and just randomly snorts. And he's best hurry up. I've got to pick up in Barnsley at 1. So then we see the lion costume out front with balloons in a charity box, but no one's stopping to donate. But the narrator quickly quips that the missing tourist is the most trouble that'll be caused today. Then back to Utah, we catch the end of a joke, which seems to be like another trademark Peter Kayism. So what says to it? It's blowjob or no job.
And then someone in the back just sort of like points out the fact of like, that couple, is that them getting on that National Express coach? And they're like, you are? And he looks over and you can sort of like see like a couple getting onto the coach, like right next to it. And Utah just goes, oh, balls to this, can't be bothered. And just drives off.
What was it? He says, oh, bollocks to this, come on, we're going. They can make their own way to Windermere.
And as they're driving off, they've just got like literally a shot of the side of the bus as the bus is going. And then as the bus is sort of like leaving, you can hear sort of like the music come back from Paul Leroy's DJ set. And it's I can see clearly now the rain is gone, but Paul Leroy comes in halfway through and replaces rain with coach. So it's I can see clearly now the coach has gone.
It's how he just sort of throws it in there though, just popping on with the coach is gone.
Yeah, just flicks the V's as it's going as it's leaving.
And that's the end of part 1. Jesus Christ. To be fair though, some of it are only like small bits. Like
well, that's the thing. It's sort of like it's the same episode length as you'd get from your normal like Phoenix Nights episode, but it's literally one of those that is sort of like it cuts from because there's so many people like dotted out through so many characters that are sort of focused on throughout the episodes. You're literally cutting from shot to shot to shot to shot to shot to shot. It's like trying to watch a like wrestling show directed by Vince Russo.
Well, less said about him, the better.
Well, exactly, yeah. But you get my point.
Yeah. So we jump to part 2. As the narrator chimes in with it, it's 1 o'clock in the services. Pearl is on the phone discussing coaches and a French couple.
He's on the phone with some bloke who's based up in Lancaster. With the Lancaster services.
That's later on.
Oh, is that later on?
Yeah, this one's it's another call with not Sonia, it's someone else. But as she said, it's an MP, not my problem. Puts the phone down and goes, bye-bye. Puts the phone down again. But then she goes on to discuss, she's like, oh, if I had £1 for every time someone was left behind or someone was forgotten or whatever, I'd be a millionaire. I thought I'd make £4 alone this week. So then we cut to Paul Leroy, who's chatting about the 80s, or playing 80s even, sorry. But as he says, people say it was like the 60s, but it was the 80s. And then I tell you, I fractured my femur at Pontins, limbo dad in '82. I spent 4 weeks in hospital and stumbled upon hospital radio.
No, he makes mention of sort of like the femur break. He drove all the way home. It was like an 80-mile journey. And didn't even realise it were a fracture.
Yeah, something like, 6-hour drive home. I thought it were wind. What? How was a broken femur going to be wind? Oh dear. But an interesting tidbit popped up in the commentary at this point, as they were discussing when Paul was doing his sort of monologue, and Peter says he wrote most of this episode whilst on a plane and on holiday in Las Vegas with his wife. Okay. But he says, "Oh yeah, we were sat in the hotel room, and I was just writing the script, and one of the guys on the commentary was like, 'Oh, but your wife had a great time.'" But he said, "Oh yeah, I got it finished," and then we was wandering around Las Vegas for like about half a day trying to find somewhere we could like send this bloody fax or whatever. He said, "We found this place, so I could send it to London. It cost me about $60."
Freaking hell!
But he said it was 2.5 days filming. He's like, "Oh, I got paid £1,000." But then paddy-mcguinness, I didn't get paid. So this is the next bit. Pearl's on the phone discussing the French couple again. That's when she's talking to Gavin. But they're on the M6 now, in the Ploughmans. But then look, I can't be held responsible for negligent coach drivers or French tourists. They can't be told between brown and blue. And that's where she's like, Gavin used to work here mopping toilets on the road before he went to Lancaster. But then she goes off on a random thing about, we got stuck in a dispute once for 8 hours. At the end of it, they were setting fire to sheep. So another quick quip as we jump over at Paul Leroy playing more 8 sees the dog wanders over. He doesn't seem to notice it straight away, and he just randomly shoos it away when he notices it. So then we jump back to Alan for doozy. With the RAC want me out of the picture. I was a patsy. Alan Harvey Oswald, that's what they called me. Wrong place, wrong time. The face didn't fit. So, right, okay. But then as he chimes in with, she was 15. Well, she's 15 and a half. Just another 6 months. But she looked much older, especially wearing that badge.
What? It's at this point you sort of like you think to Alan, it's like these are the ramblings of a madman here.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Which, given what happens to him at the very end of the episode, is probably warranted.
Oh dear. So then we cut through to Pearl, who's on the phone to Irene, who's like mobile hairdresser, who lets her know that Bob Carolgees from Tiswas will be stopping at the services. And then she gives us the full rundown of, she's doing his daughter's hair, and he texted her from his mobile phone and said he's going to be stopping in on the 61 and where the other service on the 61. So he's popping into services. But as they said, last time I had a celebrity was last August. Rugby player Bill was it Bill DeMont or something, or
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Rugby player, miserable get. He had a tenner's worth of unleaded and orange arrow and buggered off.
God, I can remember orange arrows like very, very. Yeah. Yeah, I can just about remember orange arrows.
They did make a brief comeback like last year, like limited edition or something, really brief, because I remember having one.
Okay.
But it was on like they only did like the big bars, they didn't do the small bars. So
I always make a point with sort of like certain chocolate bars. I'm so upset that they don't make Mars Delights in this country anymore. Because I used to fucking love Mars Delights. They were beautiful.
I'm trying to think. Spira for me.
Spira.
I think it was like Cadbury's, but it was pretty much like a twirl, but more formed. It was almost like a straw.
Let's see if I can. If I recognise the. No, I don't recognise the. Don't recognise the packaging.
Mm.
Sort of like it looks a little bit like the packaging you'd normally see on like Turkish Delight or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was, but it was more like a sort of a formed twirl almost, because it had like 3 holes around the middle, and it was I think it was Cadbury that didn't, but I think they just discontinued it because like they do flake and twirl anyway. So it's like, why do we need Spira?
Mm.
So, yeah, Pearl then gets excited, pulling out walkie-talkies, saying, "Oh, we need these. We're going to DEFCON 5." Matthew's wiping down the Fireman Sam kiddie ride on. As Pearl's radio and Matthew just stand up and she's only over there.
And then the camera cuts from him all the way to Pearl, who's like literally just on the other side of the room.
Can you hear me? Answer me. But he's like, "Yes, you fat bitch." And it's like, "What is it? Can you make sure you wipe the windows down, please?" He's like, "Yeah, over. And make sure you use a cloth." And he's like, "What else am I going to use?" Then as he goes to reply, she doesn't hear it. So then he gets frustrated. He calls her a stupid bitch over the radio.
And you literally just hear a thing of, "Excuse me."
So, then we have Paul Leroy, who's still advertising the prizes of a foot spa, a health spa, or a £20 spa.
£20 voucher for your local spa.
He's got a couple of kids turn up.
Turn out she is kids.
As he's like bullshitting over the airwaves, he's like, "Oh, it's absolutely packed down here."
The crowds are gathering. It's literally just 2 kids having a little bit of a boogie in front of the DJ decks.
But his wife has turned up for support, allegedly, and just is sitting there looking bored.
I was just going to say she was sat there with a face like a smacked ass.
Cut back to Alan, who's like, "Do you want to see a picture of the wife?" He's opened his wallet to an empty space.
Oh dear.
As he says, he's like, "Oh yeah, she left me," but he finishes off with, "Oh, because I had a weekend fling with a barmaid called Tina."
And then what was it? What was it? All that he was left with? And I know one was a stopcock.
A stopcock, and he mentioned spider something or other. I didn't catch the back end of it, but
yeah, I didn't either.
No, but he's like, "Yeah, I did everything for her. I did everything for her, everything she asked me to, and she left me all because I had a weekend fling with a barmaid called Tina."
Yeah.
So then we cut back to Matthew, who's having to take down all the top shelf magazines. As the narrator let us know, Matthew's not amused. But he's like talking to the camera like, "Oh, you'd think Bob Carolgees had seen a soft core before."
It cuts to a wider shot where he's like still trying to take some of the blue stuff off the top shelf, and then eventually he just sort of like, he's got like a great big pile in his hand, he just sort of like drops it on the floor, just like, "Can't be arsed with this."
So Pearl's talking to a photographer. I think he was mentioned before of like, I think he says, "I will get Keith down here with his camera."
Mm.
But he sort of stood there looking disinterested, and she's like, "Bob Carolgees used to do adverts for Elmer's mayonnaise."
Might be bringing Spit the dog. apparently they go arm in arm. Apparently it's like another limb for to him.
Oh, he never leaves home without it. We're back with Alan, who's still ranting, blaming Thelma and Louise, and she's become a 90s woman, wanting to get a degree. But he says the final straw came when I came home and found trying to change a plug. But then as he says, I gave him a crack with that and shows his backhand.
Fucking hell.
Someone's narrator, it's 4 p.m. and there's no sign of Bob or Spitz. So Matthew's hoovering the red carpets in, hey, look at this, check this out. That's
got a celebrity coming down. Who is it? I don't know. I can't remember who it is. Who he
Oh, big celebrity's coming. All right, who is it? You know Richard Harris from this and this. Like, yeah, well, it's not him. It's Bob Carolgees.
That's what caught me. It's like, you know, Richard Harris was like, yeah, it's not him.
But he's just like, it's Bob Carolgees. Aren't we the lucky ones? And he's like, he's just got to give that look of like, no, we're fucking not. So then we get a tannoy from Pearl. Well, tannoy for Pearl. Sonia's on the phone. She walks past some lad on the till. So I stand up, Oliver, just like your brother. And then Alison, use less chocolate sprinkles, not cheap. So then Pearl answers. It turns out Bob Carolgees is on the other side of the service. He's on the south side.
Yeah, it's on the southbound side.
So Matthew has to quickly stop overing, grab the carpet and leg it over the bridge. He trips over the stairs, nearly taking the cameraman with him.
It's literally a case of sort of like the way it's filmed is like the cameraman's rushing behind Matthew with this carpet, and sort of like he's partly rolled it up, but there's one edge that's sort of like hanging down. I was like, I bet you, I guarantee you, Matthew's just he's gonna trip over it, sort of in some way or another. But he doesn't. So
he sprints down this bridge, which takes you over the motorway to the other side, and it's like, he's leaving, we've missed him, he's going.
And then the camera sort of like zooms in on the car leaving, and the cameraman's like right behind it, pelting after it.
But then Matthew radios Pearl saying he's gone, and he just said, "Oh, what a bastard!" Oh. So then we'll put back with Paul Roy. He's packing up for the day, but this is why Sandra goes to grab some cable. He says, "No, you get that one." Until like this massive speaker,
and he's the one grabbing the cables and the extension leads and that.
So yeah, he grabs the cable, but then he says to her, "Hurry up, it's raining." So then we cut through to an office. Alison's doing her makeup in a mirror. Pearl's putting a coat on. And Pearl says, "Oh, you can have tomorrow since you came in today." And so I'll come in, I don't mind. Oh, well, Dina's phoned up, she's going to come in tomorrow.
It's like, are you sure? It's like, oh yeah, definitely. Take it before I change my mind. And then she's looking at the camera, it's like, ah. And then as she walks off, Alison's there. She goes from there, yeah, to freaking hellfire.
So Alan's trying to sell that ARC again. £42, I guess you breakdown cover and all that. The man walks off uninterested, and Alan just shouts, "You can screw my wife and all if you want." But as the guy's walking off, he just like throws the pamphlet on the floor. And Alan says something like, "Oh, don't drop that," and he picks up and says, "Don't know why I fucking bother."
It's like literally a case of like, don't drop that. That cost loads to make copies of this.
But then, so we're back in Alice and Pearl exchanging when they'll be in together next. Which is it seems to happen in my job a lot. When you're in next, I'm like, oh, I'm in on Saturday. Oh, well, I'm not. Well, I'll see you next week then.
Yeah.
Which Peter said he threw it in from his cinema days. He said, he always had his fingers like, oh, right, when you're in next. I'm like, oh, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I'm not in tomorrow. Oh, well, I'll see you Thursday then. No, I'm not in Thursday. Oh, I'll see you Friday then. No, I'm not in Friday. And he said, why does it matter? Right.
Just your bog standard everyday speech, really.
Yeah. So we see Pearl switch the lights off, and she informs the night staff she's hung the keys up and done the rotas for the next 3 weeks. As the credits briefly start, if there's any problems, don't ring me. So she's walking past a lad on the buffer, which I believe is still Brian.
Yeah.
Said again, you missed a bit, Brian.
I find it funny that he's like, even from sort of like the start of the day, he's still there buffering.
It's fucking long shift if he is. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
But then we have, like I think they used to do this on Airline, where it was like next week on Airline. And we have next week on the services, and Pearl walks out the toilets. He says, I don't care whose it is, I don't care what it is, but it's floating. And we see Matthew has first night nerves, and he's showing phone up into the bin going, oh, don't film me, don't film me. And finally, Alan smashes up his table.
And finally, Alan has a breakdown. He's literally... We forgot to mention as well, sort of like the setup that he's got outside the services. It's just basically your bog standard cheap plastic deck chair and table. With sort of like...
Oh, yeah, it's like the old white bloody like summer garden table, isn't it? You used to have for barbecues and that.
Yeah.
And that he's got a parasol, but it's a cloth one, so it's not going to do anything for him.
No. He literally kicks it all, but like smashes it to pieces, ranting and raving. And then it cuts to sort of like a shot of like the motorway road sign, and it sort of like, pans a little bit to the right so it can take in the hard shoulder. And there's Alan sort of like walking down the motorway with his pants around his ankles, just like ranting and raving.
He's got his like white Y fronts and vest on. He's singing "We Will Rock You" out of tune. And that's the services.
And that's the pilot episode over and done with. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's quite an enjoyable little episode, that.
I don't know. I can't remember if I mentioned it on when we first started recording, but this was your first time seeing that Peter Kay thing, wasn't it?
It was, yes. I think the only experience I've had sort of like of that Peter Kay thing is like a very, very, very short clip of the Bingo Hall episode.
Oh yeah,
that just basically
that
just basically focuses on the compare that's there. But it's only like a little 3-minute clip. But yeah, bar that, I've not really had any experience with that Peter Kay thing before.
Yeah.
So this is my first experience of it.
So are you looking forward to what's ahead?
I am, yeah. Well, particularly with the next episode, because of the finale of season 1 of Phoenix Nights, sort of spoiled what was coming up in episode 1. But given that it's sort of like, you could say the prequel, you could say it's the prequel to sort of like Phoenix Nights, really. Yeah, it's very much looking forward to it. I also hear that Keith Lard is meant to be turning up again in the series, which after our experiences on season 1, be very much looking forward to that. And then as I said, I think the Bingo Hall one will be quite interesting because it takes place in Blackpool, and it'll be interesting to get your guys sort of little trips down memory lane.
Indeed it shall. So, but it's also there's a lot of repeat, not so much. Well, there's a few repeat characters or first time characters that you'll see, but there's also a lot of some brilliant one-liners and quips and stuff in this season. But you'll probably go through and you'll be like, oh, they use that in Phoenix Nights, or there'll be something the references that you'll notice that pops up again in Phoenix Nights sort of thing, and then you'll sort of go back and you find it funnier, or you'll be like, oh, they've said that already, sort of thing, or they've used that already.
I think it'll literally be a case of me just finding it funny again, because as much as I enjoyed this episode, the one thing I could probably say about it is that it wasn't very, like, quote heavy. Like, I mean, it was an enjoyable episode, but, you know, given that we've got the prequel Phoenix queue at Brian Potter's old club, the Neptune Club, coming up next, be a nice little return to... I don't want to say return to form, because that's sort of like... It's almost giving the pilot a bit of a disservice when it isn't really. But, yeah, I'm just looking forward to what's to come.
Cool. Well, hopefully we'll have the alleged sexy man with us.
Yeah, hopefully.
But we'll have to wait and see. So you'd best give yourself some plugs if you've got any.
Yeah. We're still continuing our little lockdown review base with the Lost Art of WrestleBox. We recorded the 2019 version of the National Wrestling Alliance's Crockett Cup event, which was available to view on YouTube, and myself, AXC, and the delivery man, and as well as Not Daz were included on the recording, and it was a fun time had by all, I must say. Particularly with some of the engagements and differing opinions. Given that Coxy is the editor-in-chief, do you have a release date of when that will probably be out?
This coming Monday, I want to say.
Monday, so it would be if I can get the calendar up on the 15th.
15th? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, the 15th, Monday the 15th of June, that'll be out. And then the next one after that is, we're going to be recording on the Wednesday after the latest episode drops, having another look at New Japan, and it's their very first solo show in the UK, Royal Quest. So yeah, a fun time had by all. Is it just mainly through Lost Art of Wrestling?
Yeah, it's all on the Lost Art of Wrestling channel, so on the Facebook. You can find it on Twitter at LAOW Podcast. I've been posting stuff on our Instagram as well, Lost Art of Podcasting, for some of the episodes, for the Crockett Cup and stuff, so it goes through that channel as well. So yeah, and it's all available on all platforms as usual. So
yeah, and if you're a listener of the show and you can think of any more free content that we could possibly be looking at, be sure to make a mention either on the Facebook group or the Twitter or wherever, and it's something that we might consider. But sort of like going forward, particularly with the fact that New Japan Pro Wrestling announced earlier this week that they're going to be bringing back the shows, like they're starting early next week. I think it might be a case of sort of doing not only sort of like looking at the retro shows, but also like catching up on any news or anything noteworthy from the events that happened from the 15th onwards. So yeah, that might be a little additional put in with the usual reviews that we've been doing during the lockdown period.
Cool. Well, of course, you can find the Lost Art of Podcasting on Facebook, on Twitter at Lost Art Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, as I've already mentioned, Lost Art Podcasting, and on all good podcast providers, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and some other ones. So. Well, Lewis, thank you very much, and I look forward to episode 1.
Episode 1, technically.
Episode 1, technically, of season 2. But,
yes.
Yeah, of that Peter Kay thing.
Yeah.
So, so for the Phoenix Pod, I've been AXC.
And I've been Lewis Ogden.
We don't have a we can't say next.
No, we can't, because it's not technically. We'll see you next time for the Neptune Club episode.